All right.
With all that being said, let's just dive into hockey stuff. Let's talk Frozen Four again.
Frozen Four.
Phenomenal. You know what? Not even just the Frozen Four. That tournament from start to finish, other than like maybe one or two games that were blowouts,
but outside that,
it's so rare that you have, and like people have said, like with the Frozen Four, like I by the way, I fucking hate using the term blue blood. That just is, I hate that. But like outside of that, even the teams that you don't consider a blue blood, whatever, it was crazy just going back and looking through all like the games from the start of the tournament to the finish of how many high profile guys that are legitimately going to be meaningful impact NHL players in one tournament. And obviously a bunch of them make it to the Frozen Four. Like this was, for my money, like one of the better tournaments start to finish I've seen in a very long time. And Denver more than earned that. What a fucking performance. What a season in general, but like, what a tournament. Like they spent all season just kicking the shit out of everybody, putting up 6 goals a game. And the second they won that first game, was it UMass in overtime? I was like, oh, if they're winning close games, so like they're going to do it. And like they did, they had close games the whole way through. They got contributions from everywhere. And you've got that goalie putting on the performance of a lifetime. So Denver, more than a deserving champion. Carle, what a coach.
Dude.
Perfectly perfected the post-tournament media. Like, they're like, if you want, I'll come to the show for a shit ton of money. Fucking 30-something years old. Yeah, if you pay me, I'll think about it.
I loved it on Chicklets this week. He flat out said, he's like, I can literally have a job here forever. If I go to the NHL, I'm probably fired in 2 years. Like, why would I do that?
Just speaking the absolute truth. And so that's what I was actually going to lead this with. What would you, if you have a couple NHL teams giving you a call right now, but you look at the situation he's got in Denver, that's a team that's literally never going to be bad. I like
transfer portal. Oh, wait, that only fucking helps.
Oh, yeah, wait, they're already fucking raking in. So, like, what, like, obviously everyone that goes into the coaching, everyone envisions like their end goal being the NHL. I feel like he's got such and maybe it's my personality and maybe it's different if I was like actually like coaching or whatever, but I like in my head, a situation like that, like, why would I ever leave? Like he could be, and he's already basically a god there. He's won 2 natties. He's super young. What's he, 34? No, he's
34.
He could literally stay there, make a lot of money, and just become a legend in college hockey as far as coaching goes. Like he absolutely could do that. And like for me personally, I love like that is more appealing to me than like taking a stab in the NHL, but I totally get, obviously, like if you become a coach, like you're envisioning eventually running an NHL bench. But I don't know, how do you feel about that though? That's what I was going to lead this off with.
I mean, it's easy to say right now, right? Because I'm never going to do either.
Yeah, I don't have to make fucking.
For me, the reason that I would much rather be a college coach, and this is just again me personally, and admitted bias, like I care more about the Gophers than I care about any NHL team. So like I'm a little bit more framed that way. But for me, it's one, you can actually develop advantages unlike you can do in the NHL, right? Like you can have the better campus, you can have the better facilities, and it really matters. Whereas once you hit the NHL, it's like, pay me.
Yeah.
I want to be on a beach. Like that's it, right? And I think the coolest element and the reason that I would much rather be a college coach, like take away the job security, all of that. I love that you get to be the coach and the GM, right? Like you get to make your team. Whereas in the NHL, like, yeah, you're going to have say usually if you're in line with the GM, but you don't have that control. You don't get to make those decisions. And on top of the like short shelf life of NHL coaches, a lot of times that GM leaves, you're screwed. The team sucks.
Yeah.
You're screwed. Like you're the first scapegoat that gets sent out. And in college, like you can have down years and it's pretty easy to explain if you just lost a huge class of people or you got studs going off to the NHL. Like it's easy to get through a down year. You just can't have like 3 or 4 down years, you know? Whereas the NHL, all it takes is 1 year and you might be gone. And that's because there's way bigger bucks. There's way more at stake. It's a completely different lifestyle too. You are on the road nonstop, which, hey, maybe you love living the hotel life and you want to be on the PJs regular, but to literally have a routine, play your games on the weekends, and then like that's the life. It seems pretty fucking cool. So I don't know why you would leave that personally, but again, like if it's all about accolades and ego and wanting to be at the peak of your craft, I totally understand why coaches go and do that. But I've been confused every time a coach has done that. Like you look at, you know, leaving North Dakota, leaving Denver, and, you know, shout out Boston Bruins. Like they got a good one there. And he is a guy that like, he is an NHL coach, but he left Denver, handed the keys to Carle. I don't know. I personally would absolutely go the college route, but I can absolutely understand why there's other people that are wired completely differently.
Yeah. And I like, and obviously, like for me too, obviously, like way more focused on prospect stuff. So I think he, like, as a college coach, I feel like you have so much more of an opportunity to actually coach and teach versus like the NHL. Like, there's in-game stuff. There's other little things, even the little stuff. It's like the assistant coaches half the time that's like working with the guys individually. Like it kind of feels like if you're an NHL head coach, it's so much more like game management stuff versus like coaching like individual players. And like I've said this, like people have asked questions on here before. It's like, have there been prospects that you've seen from like development to NHL success? And it's like, I always say Duhaime was the first one for me, but like, as a college coach, the opportunity to do that literally and have hands-on like experience with helping with their development from like start to finish, and then seeing them go off into the NHL, and you've got all these kids playing everywhere in the NHL that you like directly affect. I just think it's cool. And like you said too, like as an NHL coach, even if you're an average coach, if there's a new GM, there's only one Bruce Boudreau who survives as the Minnesota Wild head coach, despite 3 different fucking GMs. Yeah, dude. Which, by the way, unbelievable. That's how likable this guy is. And like a good coach. And a good coach.
But the other thing too, like if you want to go the ego route of like, oh, I want to go to the NHL to be the best, there is chicken's dick chance of getting a statue as an NHL coach. David Carle does this for another 10 plus years, rakes in another, let's say in the next 10 years, he pulls in like 2 natties and a handful of Frozen 4 appearances. Dude could easily have a statue.
Oh yeah. You get like, yeah. So
he is a guy though that like you can tell he thrives on the relationships with these kids too. Cause they even talked to him about like Cutter Gautier's comment. He's like, I have no problem with it. Like I coached him. He also was like, I coached him. I know him. Right. He said the same kind of shit and I'm all about it. And I called him right after he signed that contract and like kid's going to kill it. And like, you can just tell he is that kind of guy. The highlight, you know, not to keep pumping the Chicklets tires, but he talks about the Buium brothers and
that was so funny
how literally they both come to campus. Like Zeev is only like 14, maybe 15. And he's on campus with his older brother Shy doing a visit. Doesn't remember if it was official or unofficial, which love that. But he's like, yeah, like Shy was definitely about it. But like, you could tell when he's like, yeah, I got some stuff to think about. Like Zeev looked up at him. He's like, the fuck do you have to think about? You're going to play here. I'm coming with too. This place rocks.
Yeah. That was so, he's like, what are you out of your fucking mind? In my head, it's actually way funny. It was like, no, we are coming here. He's like 14. He's like, oh yeah, we are for sure. He's like, where the fuck do I sign? He's an idiot.
It is crazy. What if players were required to take like X amount of visits? Because there's so many, like there's some awesome schools where you go on campus for one day and you do one of those visits and like shit, the players bring you under their wing, you go out and have a good time. Like, it'd be pretty hard for me to go to even like, I fucking hate Wisconsin passionately. If I went for an official visit there, I would probably be like swooning and be excited to play there. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder how many players it is. Like, you go to one place and you're like, yep, this is it.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag because like you do hear interviews with guys like I did one visit and I was like, oh, it's over. Yep, and I signed while I was there. But then, like, it's funny if they have to do a certain amount. Like, I imagine there would be a good amount of people if, like, with the one, if they only go like a one, if you do your first visit to like Arizona State, you're like, I'm not even gonna go home. Sir, you're 16 years old. You're not like, I don't care. I'll just do high school here.
Especially now that they've got their own rink, right? Which we'll get into that later. That's going to be a big topic. Yeah. We got to talk though before we get like way too far down the line, which too fucking late. Dude, just I'll give you the floor for up to 5 minutes here. Swoon. Just go off on your boy. You are the only one who talks about him. Rieger motherfucking Lorenz.
Yeah. And I mean, even before just getting into Rieger Lorenz, like we touched on before though, like Denver put on an absolute clinic every fucking game in this tournament. They spent the whole season like winning games by 1 million goals. And then they also showed you that like all 4 lines, all 3 D pairs, like they can show up and however you want to play, they could play. And like the even the guys that are like their top dogs, like a kid like Zeev Buium, he didn't even put up all the points in the world necessarily in the tournament, but he showed you how well he fucking defends and how well he can adjust to whatever system he's in. Because like he had flashes where like he was walking the blue line and he made a couple absurd plays. Like that assist on oh no. Are we back? Are we still here? Video. I think I'm back.
Isha, don't edit shit.
Zeev Buium. Yeah, this stays. But that assist he had on Lorenz's goal in the championship game was so nasty. The spinner ramp backhand thread the needle into the slot for Lorenz to absolutely rip shelf short side. My God, what a shot. So nasty. But like he showed you that again, doesn't matter the system he's in, doesn't matter what you ask him to do. He can fill or he can check every box as a defenseman. Like he is an elite offensive defenseman, but he defends very well. He's strong as shit. And he's incredibly smart. So that's why, I mean, even coming in as the year went on, he was solidified like, yeah, okay, top 10. Okay, top 8. Now you're talking like potential top 5 here. But just Denver in general, like everyone filled a role. And again, Matt Davis, that save he made on Ryan Leonard was the second he saved that, it was like, okay, now definitely this game's over. Like there's no chick. If that's happening, that is a joke.
But it's crazier though that like Fowler had a championship performance too. Like he played well enough.
The fact that he played that well, yeah, you should not play that well and lose. You know, like in a national championship game, like
with the team in front of you.
And
I think we just need to move on and say that's a wrap on Denver. I'm
going to keep going on Lorenz then.
Okay, Lorenz, go.
But so this is I mean, realistic, I guess it's what we talk about this year anyways, this whole season for him. Like he goes from last year where he, for sure, first of his life struggled, like was not getting prime minutes, wasn't on their first power play, was asked to play like a fourth line role. This year comes in, shows that he can play a 200-foot game. He shows that like while he does that, you don't lose any of his offense where he puts up 30 points this season. But again, and like I said this last week, I think he had 2 or 3 shorthanded goals this year. He was on their first PK unit. He's on their first power play unit playing middle 6. Like it's not like he's getting 20, 25 minutes a night for them, but every time he steps on the ice, he makes an impact. He also blocked a shot in the national championship game too. Like, and I think Russo was saying before that like, especially this season, as the year went on, they have been swooning over his development. And I didn't even know. I thought it was crazy that like I had no idea that he was weekly on calls with the Wild development team and like their scouting staff doing like video. Like I had no idea that you were allowed to do that. I thought you could like check in, like doing like literal like film and like coaching sessions. But I love that he was doing that every week, like all year long. So the fact that the national championship game in Minnesota, national championship, like primary assists on the eventual game winner, and then he adds that insurance goal. Played well every game. Like good for him. Very happy for that kid, and he was clearly very emotional at the end of the year or at the end of the game. But just so well deserved, and like looking to be yet another one of these comical second round finds from Judd Brackett since he stepped in. Like it's like most of his picks end up looking real good, but like every time he picks the second round, I was like banger, bang, yep, check. And but like what a year. And again, with the context of last year too, he must be feeling absolutely incredible. So shout out Rieger Lorenz. He's definitely one to watch. He shouldn't sign. He should do his after third year and then yeah. And even then, depending on like what the schedule looks like, if however far Denver goes, you still end up playing. Like if he signs at the end of the season and let's say they don't make a deep run or whatever, like you're still going to get a couple games.
There's a ton of roster spots open, right? So
yes, that's good. We're going to have like when we talk about the prospects here,